pretty good. Roll off some high frequencies and boost the mid-range. Yeah. It works better with some voices than others.
Same thing.
Yeah. I think honestly that's the only reason I still remember Steve Berlin.
He did look like it.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Crystal Fletcher. I'm a lieutenant with the Public Affairs Division for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Thank you again for joining us on this rainy Wednesday. We're here today to talk about a new CMPD unit called the Civilian Crash Investigation Unit, and that unit officially launches tomorrow. And what this means moving forward is that instead of officers responding to minor crashes, it will now be a civilian responding to those crashes. This new unit will sometimes be referred to as CCI. You may hear that today during the press conference. And it falls under our Special Services group. And here to talk more about this program is the Deputy Chief over that group, Jackie Briley.
Thank you, Fletcher. Good morning. Deputy Chief Jackie Briley over Special Services Group. As we strive to continually improve our services that we offer the community, the Civilian Crash Investigation Unit will play a crucial role in achieving these goals. This will allow officers to focus on higher priority calls and reduce the wait times of those who are involved in minor vehicle accidents. Here's why it's important. 71% of all of our vehicle crash reports our officers wrote last year were minor crashes. These were crashes where no injuries and only property damage was reported. If we had civilian crash investigators a few years ago, we would have significantly reduced the number of reports patrol officers wrote and would allow them to be dispatched to more urgent calls for service in our city. It may not have erased the full 71%, but it would dramatically reduce the number of crash reports written by patrol officers. When you think about the police department, sworn officers are the first that come to mind. However, there are many areas where civilians help us fight crime and prevent crime. For example, our professional and civilian staff serve as members of the crime scene unit, our crime lab, human resources, communications, animal care and control, public affairs, and now our civilian crash unit. You may be aware by now that many agencies in the North Carolina have launched, for example, Wilmington, Fayetteville, Gastonia, and Greensboro. The wave of the CCI program is a result in change in law in 2023, which was House Bill 140. This new law permits civilian investigators to respond to minor crashes. The purpose of our CCIs is to lessen the burden on our officers so they can respond to another wide range of crime. Again, far too many of our minor crashes were put in place of high priority calls when citizens were involved in these accidents, and they no longer need to wait that long for a service. In 2022, CMPD officers wrote 29,994 crash reports. For minor crashes, this resulted in over 41,000 service hours. In 2023, officers wrote 29,715 minor crash reports. This resulted and over 4,000 service hours. So far, 2024 to date, officers have written 25,973 crash reports. This has resulted in over 35,000 service hours. These are calls that could have been handled by our civilian staff. Again, when you average the numbers, 71% of these crashes were minor crashes. These are the type of incidents these new crash civilian investigators will be responding to each day. Again, these are minor accidents with no injuries, such as parking lot crashes or fender benders. CCIs will enable patrol officers to be dispatched to calls other than these. The candidates applied earlier this year, and 15 of these individuals were hired. These investigators received over 6 weeks of training, which started 2 weeks in classroom instruction, followed by 4 weeks of field training in our facilities throughout our city. The CCIs were trained by sworn staff, and they received a certification through the North Carolina Justice Academy. These investigators will not be involved in dangerous calls for service, and they will be in direct communication with our sworn officers with radios issued the same as our officers. We expect our citizens to treat these investigators with the same respect they would show a police officer or any other city employee. We would like to thank our City of Charlotte City Council for the approval of the purchase of the civilian crash investigation vehicles and the budget process. Now, to talk more about this will be Captain Brian Hofer over the Special Events and Transportation Division. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Starting tomorrow, the Civilian Crash Investigations Unit will be on the streets patrolling in white Ford F-150 Lightnings and XLT hybrid pickup trucks with amber lights and marked with the unit's name on the side. The trucks do not look like police cars, but resemble some of the other civilian vehicles within our agency. Now we'll take a closer look at what the CCIs will and will not handle. Our civilian crash investigators, like our police officers, will be outfitted with the body-worn cameras, or BWC, and are subject to the same policies as sworn officers regarding the footage, operation, and maintenance of those units. The CCIs will respond to and take non-injury crash reports. They also will be able to assist with traffic control on our injury crashes handled by patrol officers or our major crash investigations unit. CCIs will not be dispatched on hit and run or suspected DWI crashes. However, if they arrive on a crash scene and it is determined to be a hit and run, a possible DWI, illegal contraband is located, or any other violations, they will call for a police officer to assist. If you are in a minor crash between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m., Monday through Friday, CCIs will likely be the responding units. Those are the times the data shows that most of these crashes occur. As you know, Highway Patrol handles most of the interstate crashes, and CCIs will not respond to crashes on the interstates, including 77, 85, and 277. CCIs will not carry firearms or any weapons, and they will not issue citations nor have the power to arrest individuals. We're excited to launch this program, and we look forward to seeing the impact that this team will have in assisting patrol and in serving the community. With that, I would like to introduce to you one of our civilian crash investigators, Jermaine Parker. He will not be taking questions, but will share his thoughts going into the first day on the job. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jermaine Parker, and I just want to say how proud I am to serve the CMPD and my community as a new civilian crash investigator. Before becoming a CCI, I was a telecommunicator in Communications Division of CMPD. Now I get the chance to be on the other side of the call, in the field, responding and assisting. It's a new challenge, but a welcome one.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. We appreciate that. And at this time, Deputy Chief Briley and Captain Hoover will take questions.
Captain, if there were, or whomever, if there's a dispute between the two people that get in a car, a car crash, not a violent one, but just an argument, it's their fault, no, it's my fault, whatever, how will they determine whose fault it is for insurance purposes? How does that work?
So North Carolina is considered an at-fault state. However, law enforcement does not determine fault in crashes. That is up to the insurance company. So that civilian crash investigator will take the information documented in the crash report, and then the insurance companies will take that information and any evidence that is collected and determine fault at that point.
How long are wait times right now on average for minor crashes in this city for officers to respond?
We don't have a specific, we could get that data for you, but on average, if it's a non-priority one, meaning no injuries reported, it could take anywhere from 30 minutes to probably an hour and a half for an officer to respond, especially, excuse me, if it's not in the roadway.
And how are these individuals trained if things do get heated between two parties out there? What happens?
So they're trained to call for a police officer. So if they're on scene and tensions are high, and a lot of that will be determined also by the 911 call taker. So if they hear tension in the call, they'll dispatch a police officer with the CCI. Now the CCI can still take that report, but they will have an officer with them to kind of make sure things stay calm.
A quick follow-up. What do you say to the skeptics in this community who want a badged CMPD officer responding to their call because to them it's their worst day?
Sure. I understand that. The civilian crash investigators have been through the same, actually probably more extensive training than a police officer has when it comes to taking crash reports. They actually dedicated 2 weeks to this process in the class. An officer in the academy doesn't get 2 weeks to learn how to take a crash report. So those 2 weeks plus 4 weeks in the field with an officer taking reports, they've learned all the nuances of taking those reports and how to document them.
Will they be located centralized, just waiting for calls to come in, or are they driving around? How does that work?
So they're not crime fighters, so they're not going to be necessarily patrolling. But given the numbers of crashes that we have in our city, I would imagine they'll be going from one crash to the next quite regularly.
So someone will be maybe stationed in the Steel Creek area, somebody in the University area, somebody in the Valentine area?
That's correct. So they will be division based on the volume of crashes that that division experiences.
And that 6A to 6P Monday through Friday shift, are these 12-hour shifts or is that just the days?
No, they're doing 8 hour. They're first and second shift with a small overlap, but they're 8 hour shifts.
Are you looking to hire any more this time?
Yes, eventually we'd like to see this program expand.
To how many? You have 15 now.
Do you want to answer?
We'd like to eventually double this program. We want to see some success. Obviously, first, we believe in this program. We will think there will be a lot of success. And so, again, this is just another opportunity to serve the community in a capacity where, again, someone's not waiting an hour and a half for someone to come and help them navigate through a traffic accident.
What are the metrics of success for this program for you to expand it?
Well, obviously, the first thing we'll try to look at is response times from the CCIs and the amount of calls for service and reports that our police officers will end up taking. We expect those numbers to decrease and have an immediate impact.
At the peak hours and the overlapping of the shifts, how many civilian investigators will you have at one time in the street?
There will be 15. All 15 of them will be working at those hours. There are 16 trucks, so we have enough trucks for each one to have a truck, so they don't have to be in the office while somebody else grabs a truck. They'll all have their own trucks.
How are your badged officers feeling about this program?
The officers are very excited. All the feedback that we've received has been enthusiasm and excitement. Crash reports are tedious and they take a lot of time where officers could be responding to emergency calls. So they're excited to be able to be in the community more and serving in other ways.
I believe I see body camera recorders. How does that work with the civilian crash investigators?
So as I stated earlier, it's the same as it is with the police officers. When they are on a call for service, their body-worn camera will be activated if they're engaging somebody within the community.
So as you said, they will be first responders, not badged officers. They won't this is a minor crash, I don't need to be needed here, let's turn it over. They'll be the first to respond.
So if it is a minor crash, they'll be the only ones dispatched. An officer will not be dispatched on that crash. If it's a crash, again, where there is the potential of a criminal element or there's something that's a little off when the 911 call taker takes the call, then an officer will be dispatched with them.
Any idea, maybe just a guesstimate as to how many man hours this is going to save using them as opposed to badged officers?
At that time, I don't have those numbers.
I mean, if you're talking 71% of the 4,000 hours a year are used, like how many hours do you think this is going to save badged officers?
Well, I mean, just based off of what we've already put out there, and I think that'll be in the presser as well. Again, we don't have those exact numbers, but we hope to see an immediate impact. Because again, that's when you're talking about over 30,000, 35,000 hours an officer spent writing up a report and responding out there to the scene. We're going to take that off the table immediately because you're going to have a CCI out there doing that.
Is this unit a response to a need or a lack of officers within CMPD?
I wouldn't say it's a response to a need or lack. It's just we're always looking for ways to enhance public service. And if this is an opportunity that we can leverage, then we're going to take advantage of that.
All right, that wraps this up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As we close today, please keep in mind that this is a new unit and there will be an adjustment period. The civilian crash investigators have a job to do and they have the authority to do that job. So all the information that we have talked about today will be released in our press release, put on our newsroom website, and put out on our social media channels. I know there were a few questions that we might not have been able to answer. We will get back to you on those questions. If you need the spelling of the speakers' names, we have Deputy Chief Jackie Briley, Jackie Bryley, and then we have Captain Brian Hofert, Brianhofert, and then we have CCI Investigator Jermaine Parker, JermaineParker. Thank you all.